Vanished, Emanuela Orlandi's disappearance. Hi, welcome back to Just Facts. Ercole and Maria Orlandi, née Pezzano, had 5 children, with Emanuela being the 4th, born January 14, 1968. Some accounts claim that her father worked for the Institute for the Works of Religion, while others claim that he worked for the papal household. According to Pietro Orlandi, Emanuela's older brother, the family resided within the walls of the Vatican City and the kids had unrestricted access to the gardens. Orlandi continued taking flute lessons at the Tommaso Ludovico de Victoria School, affiliated with the Pontifical Institute of Sacred Music, 3 times a week even though the school year had ended. Additionally, she sang in the choir at the Vatican Sant'Anna dei Palafrenieri Church. Orlandi frequently took a bus to get to the music school. After a few stops, she would get off and walk the final few hundred yards. On June 22, 1983, Orlandi arrived late for class. Since it was a hot day, she had asked her brother Pietro to take her, but he had other commitments. He recalled decades later, "I've gone over it so many times, telling myself if only I had accompanied her maybe it wouldn't have happened." Emanuela called her home later that day to give a reason why she hadn't returned yet. She informed one of her sisters that an Avon representative had made her an employment offer. Orlandi allegedly met with the Avon representative right before her music lesson, according to some reports. Orlandi and a female friend discussed the job offer after class, and the friend later left the girl at a bus stop with some other girl. According to reports, Orlandi was last seen getting into a large, dark-colored BMW. On Thursday, June 23, at 3 p.m., Orlandi's parents called the head of the music school to inquire if any of their daughter's classmates had any knowledge of her whereabouts. The family was told to wait, which was advised by the police because it's possible the girl was with friends. That day, she was officially listed as missing. The newspapers Il Tempo, Paese Sera, and Il Messaggero published reports of the disappearance over the course of the following 2 days, along with the Orlandi house's phone number. On Saturday, June 25, at 6 p.m., a young man who identified himself as Pierluigi, a 16-year-old boy, called. He claimed that the missing girl had met him and his fiancée in Piazza Navona that afternoon. Along with other details that fit the missing girl, the young man mentioned Orlandi's flute, her hair, and the glasses she didn't like to wear. Orlandi had just gotten a haircut and introduced herself as Barbarella, according to Pierluigi. He asserted that she claimed to have just fled her home and was selling Avon products. On June 28, a man identifying himself as Mario called the family and stated that he ran a bar close to Ponte Vittorio, which is situated between the Vatican and the Music Academy. He claimed that a young woman named Barbara, a new client, had opened up to him about running away from home but had promised to return for her sister's wedding. Rome was covered with numerous posters bearing Orlandi's picture on June 30. Pope John Paul II made an appeal to those responsible for Orlandi's disappearance on Sunday, July 3, during the Angelus, officially establishing the theory of kidnapping. The first of many anonymous phone calls reached the Orlandi family 2 days later. Emanuela was allegedly held captive by a terrorist organization that demanded Mehmet Ali Akka, the Turkish man who shot the Pope in May 1981, be released. No additional details were provided. Other calls were received over the next few days, including one from a man who called himself the American and played an audio recording of Orlandi's voice over the phone. A few hours later, the same man proposed trading Orlandi for Akka during another phone call to the Vatican. The Mario and Pierluigi from the earlier phone calls were mentioned by the unnamed negotiating partner, who identified them as members of the organization. The demand for an Orlandi-Akka exchange was made known to the ANSA news agency on July 6 by a young man with an American accent. He requested the Pope's involvement within 20 days and said that a basket in the public area close to the Parliament would hold evidence that Orlandi was in fact in his hands. These were supposed to be copies of her identity card from the music school, a tuition receipt, and a note written by the kidnapped girl. On July 8, a man purported to have a Middle Eastern accent dialed one of Orlandi's classmates and informed them that the girl was in their possession and that they had 20 days to make contact with Akka. Additionally, the man requested a direct line of communication with Cardinal Agostino Casaroli, the Secretary of State for the Vatican. On July 18, the line was put in place. The American made a total of 16 phone calls using various public phones. On the morning of May 14, 2001, 18 years later, the parish priest of the Gregory VII Church, close to the Vatican, found a small, incomplete human skull in a bag with an image of Padre Pio in a confessional. Orlandi's skull has not been positively identified, but the discovery raised questions about whether it is. Ercole, Emanuela's father, passed away in 2004, just 1 month after his final interview. Additional theories about Emanuela's disappearance. Numerous theories about the crime's causes have been floated in the Italian press over the years. It occurred about 40 days after the unsolved disappearance of Mirella Gregory, and it has frequently been claimed that there was some connection between the two incidents. Theory of Orlandi-Acca connections. Orlandi was alive, not in danger, and living in a segregated convent, according to Acca, who previously claimed that Orlandi had been abducted by Bulgarian agents of the Grey Wolves, a Turkish ultranationalist, neo-fascist youth organization of which ACA was a member. Based on what he had learned about the Grey Wolves in the middle of 2000, Judge Ferdinando Imposimato, a prosecutor with extensive experience with high-profile investigations, suggested that Orlandi, who was by this time an adult, was leading a perfectly integrated life in the Muslim community and had most likely resided in Paris for a considerable amount of time. Theory of organized crime. In 2011, Antonio Mancini, a former Banda della Magliana member, suggested that the kidnapping of Orlandi was just one of many attacks the gang was planning to launch against the Vatican to get the money they had lent to the Vatican Bank through Roberto Calvi's Banco Ambrosiano returned. According to some reports from the time, on May 14, 2012, the Italian police entered the tomb of the gangster Enrico de Pettis, 1954-1990, and took DNA samples. In 2005, a caller to the Italian television program Chi l'ha visto claimed that there was information in the grave that could help the police explain how Orlandi vanished. In 2008, a former girlfriend of de Pettis claimed that de Pettis had previously confessed to her that he had abducted Orlandi. There were no hints in the tomb that connected de Pettis to Orlandi. De Pettis was interred in the crypt of the Basilica of Sant'Apollinare in Rome, a location typically reserved for dignitaries like cardinals, as revealed by the call to Chi l'ha visto. It was immediately questioned why de Pettis, a violent offender, was given this honor. In fact, the strange burial had been covered in a newspaper article from 1997, which led to protests from the police union. However, since neither the Vatican nor Opus Dei, owners of the basilica, felt the need to defend the burial, the issue was forgotten. Speculated Vatican sex scandal. Father Gabriele Amorth, an 85-year-old exorcist, claimed in May 2012 that Orlandi had been abducted for sex parties by a Vatican police officer and later killed. Amorth asserted that representatives of an unnamed foreign embassy were also involved. Other public speculations. Reverend Raniero Cantalamessa urged the congregation to atone for sins before passing away in a Good Friday sermon delivered on April 6, 2007, in St. Peter's Basilica. "Don't take your secret with you to the grave," he advised. This led to speculation that he was implying that the Vatican might have knowledge of Orlandi's disappearance. In a statement, Vatican spokesman Reverend Federico Lombardi described the Vatican's history of cooperation with civil investigators and stated that the Church had no objections to the opening of the de Pettis tomb, which was under consideration at the time. "As far as we know, there is nothing concealed, nor are there any secrets in the Vatican to reveal on the subject," the statement said. "It is completely unjustified to continue to assert it. Also, we reiterate, yet again, all the material from the Vatican was handed over, in its time, to the investigating magistrates and to police authorities." In October 2018, remains found during renovation work on the Holy See's Embassy to Italy and Rome were the subject of speculation related to the Orlandi affair. An attorney for the Orlandi family objected to the media attention, saying, "We have no idea why the association with Emanuela was made. We're still asking ourselves why you'd find some bones and immediately assume they were Emanuela's." Test results released on February 1, 2019 showed the remains belonged to a Roman man who died between 190 and 230 AD. On July 10, 2019, it was revealed that the Vatican would be opening 2 tombs inside of Vatican City so that forensic anthropologist Giovanni Arcuti could examine them. The Tomb of the Angel and an adjacent grave were intended to hold the remains of Duchess Charlotte Friederike of Mecklenburg-Schwerin and Princess Sophie of Hohenlohe-Waldenburg-Bartenstein, respectively. The exhumations happened on July 11, 2019. The bodies of the 2 princesses and Orlandi were not discovered. The whereabouts of the princesses' remains are currently the subject of a Vatican investigation. "This is unbelievable, 2 whole remains missing." On July 13, 2019, the Vatican announced the discovery of 2 sets of bones close to the tombs of the 2 princesses, sparking rumors that one set of bones may be Orlandi's remains. Staff members were searching for the princesses' bones in the Pontifical Teutonic College Cemetery when they came across their bones. A closer look at the area uncovered 2 ossuaries that had been hidden beneath the floor of a space inside the college and were sealed off by a trapdoor. On July 20, 2019, numerous news outlets reported that the tombs had actually been discovered to be empty. According to the BBC, for example, that first July 2019 search only deepened the mystery as even the bones of 2 princesses thought to be there were missing. The same finding was reported by other news outlets, including The Guardian. However, on July 20th, thousands of human bones from dozens of bodies were discovered in the Teutonic College's underground ossuaries. The remains were to be examined by forensic experts, who were to use carbon-14 techniques to roughly estimate their age. The Vatican declared on January 9, 2023, that it would reopen the investigation into Emanuela Orlandi's disappearance. Alessandro Ditti, head prosecutor, was chosen by Pope Francis to oversee the investigation. The Vatican intends to carry out a thorough investigation that will re-examine all documents, studies, and testimony. What do you think happened to Emanuela? Comment below. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe.